this as well. But welcome everybody to our Thursday Health Connection call. I am so grateful you guys all decided to tune in, whether you're on Zoom or whether you're joining us live from the Synergy Experience. Thank you for blessing with a part of your evening. I know that kids are home, family is happening, life is happening, and so we really are so grateful that you chose to spend a little bit of it with us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Rogers, and I am just so grateful to be able to be gifting these calls forward to you guys. And the way that this all started for us was we realized that the community we had was just really uplifting, really positive. We were always getting taught and blessed on by these experts, and we had all this goodness going on, and we were feeling like, oh, we wish the rest of the world kind of knew what this community felt like. And that's when the Synergy Experience was born, and that's when we decided to start doing these weekly calls. We just decided to open up our Juice Plus community to the masses, whether you're a customer or you're not a customer, whether you're a part of our team or you're not a part of our team. We just wanted to be able to pay it forward, that sort of feel good, that vibe that we've kind of got going on in our community. And one of our missions to live by is grow good, do good, feel good. And these kinds of calls help us feel good because Dr. Miles is going to gift us with some great health information tonight. But they also help us grow good because knowledge is power. When we know better, we do better. So I love these things. They literally fuel my fire. I'm a science teacher by trade, and so I'm a total science geek, and I just like being educated on things. It kind of fills my cup. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our fabulous speaker tonight, Dr. Valerie Miles. Dr. Miles graduated from Clemson University in 1987, earned her MD degree from the Medical University of South Carolina in 1991, and completed her pediatrics training at the University of Utah in 1995. She is board certified in both pediatrics and integrative medicine. And in her first practice in Colorado, she was introduced to the concept of integrative medicine, blending the best of modern and holistic medical worlds together with a strong focus on good nutrition, which totally wins my heart and soul over. I love that so much about her. She found much more success in helping families get well and stay well by practicing this way. For 18 years, Dr. Miles owned and operated Progressive Pediatrics in Jacksonville, Florida. And since 2018, she is following her passion to bring these years of experience to a wider world in person and online with her practice of Thrive Well Pediatrics. And I have known Dr. Miles for about 6 years now. I would definitely call her a friend. She is somebody I respect not only professionally, but also parenting. I remember one of the first conversations I ever had with Dr. Miles. We were just at a dinner together. We were enjoying a glass of wine, and I was asking her about parenting a teenager. And she had so much great advice for me. And she is one of the ones that introduced me to Parenting with Love and Logic, which has literally transformed my parenting style. So as soon as she started sharing that kind of stuff with me, I was like, I love this woman. She is like a human being first, a mother, and then a doctor and a pediatric expert. So Dr. Miles, I know everybody's so excited to hear from you tonight about immune health and mental health. We are in uncharted territory that we've never been in, with being, isolated within our homes, with our family, fearful of a virus and everything else that's going on in the world. And I'm just so grateful you're going to bless us with your heart and your expertise tonight. So
thank you so much, Michelle. Oh my goodness, I love that you tell that story because, with the times that we're seeing now, it really is uncovering some of the difficulties we have with thinking about our health in advance of getting sick, right? And in advance of our kids acting up and becoming teens. And that's what I love about being a pediatrician. So thank you for the opportunity for me to share. I hope that you guys learned something tonight, and that you please drop questions in the Q&A because my computer decided to lose my notes. So what's awesome about that is this will be just sort of natural, like I'm in the office talking to you about our topics today, and then you can ask questions. So make sure you do that because Michelle's going to grab those and ask them at the end for me. So, I just want to acknowledge the situation that we're in. I, in my entire life, have never experienced something like this just as a human being, which we all are really at the core. We aren't what we think our identity is. We're just part of the tribe of human beings that are trying to handle this. And I really think that globally, it pulls us closer together because we're all having to help each other, and it doesn't matter what tribe we're in and what country we're from. So I know you guys are a little bit behind the United States and the rest of the world as far as your cases go of COVID. And so that's great because it gives you a little extra time to be able to prepare and to be able to think about these things like we're talking about our overall health and well-being and trying to stay well, right? That's my, if I had a hashtag, it'd be stay well. So let's talk about overall health and well-being. You know, this is really such a challenging time. And I know you guys got some news even in Canada today about how long, just realistic words from your leader, which I appreciate very much. Truthful, authentically, this may take a long time. So we really want to have that mindset of overall health and well-being for months and months, not just weeks, because it's going to be this chronic, uncontrollable stress that we don't usually have to deal with. And that chronic stress that you have no control over, you can't fix it, is one of the worst kinds of stress for your health. It's one of the worst things for your health and your immune system in particular. So we have to kind of combine this mental health and well-being with physical health and well-being. So let's just talk about overall health and well-being. I like to talk about the core four, and I'm going to talk about core four plus one tonight because stress is that plus one that we have to add. So core four, most of you know this. In order to stay healthy, you hear the same things over and over, which is drink enough water, get enough sleep, exercise enough, not too much, not too little, all of that. And then eat a plant-based diet. Now, this is becoming much more mainstream now, but I always used to think that plant-based meant vegetarian or vegan, which I wasn't really willing to do because I live in Florida and I love seafood. So I'm gonna stop eating seafood. I was gonna hold on to that, and you might have something you wanna hold on to too, but then I found that it actually isn't that. It's really about just having more plants and whole foods in your diet. And so over time, we gradually really, I think we were coming from behind, but we gradually added more and more plants. And now I can't imagine being without it. Our trouble now is getting enough ripe plants to eat. And you guys have that so much of the year up there because it's kind of like a desert with all the snow. Is the snow stopped yet, Michelle? No, not yet. Okay, so hopefully it's melting a little bit faster here in the coming weeks. But the diet part of the core four is really the one that is most difficult, in the sense that they just say, oh, just eat more plants, but then you're trying to get them raw or lightly steamed so you preserve the nutrients, and you're trying to get them fresh, and you're trying to get your children to eat enough of them, or in my case, my husband, who didn't eat but one vegetable when I met him. He was only 19, but he only ate iceberg lettuce, which is kind of white and doesn't have a lot of nutrients for that reason. So you're looking for the darkest, most colorful fruits and vegetables, and lots of servings, depending on what country you live in, according to the government, how many servings you're supposed to eat is much more than we actually do. So that is really the hardest thing out of the core four. And then we have the plus one, which is really our mental health. And the one is decreasing stress. So we want to sleep more, usually drink more water, exercise more, most of us, and eat more whole foods, plants, right? But we also want to decrease our stress. So everything else is more, but less stress. And I've got some really good tips for you a little bit later on about how to do that. But remember that when your stress goes up, your immune system gets suppressed. It's just as bad as eating sugar, which also suppresses your immune system and things like this. So we want to really focus on an anti-inflammatory diet and an anti-negative mind diet, right? I say, like, with the news, you could watch all day long, and you could do that, and you probably have, like I have, and at the end of the day, you feel more crazy than you did halfway through the day, because there's so many facts. There's so many facts and so many opinions you could never finish. It's not going to be finished. So we have to give ourselves a diet for that too, for our brain. We have to give ourselves a diet for our brain right now. So let's talk about the immune system. What's really important about the immune system is to have it healthy before the germ gets to you. If we are eating unhealthily, say we have a lot of processed foods and sugars, which are inflammatory, and they're causing inflammation to build up that we can't feel inside of our body, then when the germ comes in and our immune system, which is a part of that trying to be healthy inflammation, isn't able to work as well. And so the germ can get in a lot easier. We know that if we're a smoker, that we'll be more likely to have a bad cough with a cold than somebody who's not a smoker. So all the things that can decrease inflammation in your life, that's what to focus on. So that's going to be anti-inflammatory diet. If you look anything up, look up that, and you'll see foods to eat more of and foods to eat less of. And guess what we're supposed to eat more of? Top of the list is fruits and vegetables. That is where all the antioxidants that help your inflammation and help your immune system and help you stay healthy are located in the whole, anything you could eat. It's fruits and vegetables that have that. So, you know, there's kind of a recurring theme there. So think about changing your mindset about your immune system and how we're going to not get sick, or how we're going to get sick and just get mildly sick, so that we're not, I mean, you've heard some bad stories already. I know you have, and it's very heartbreaking. I have friends whose family members and friends of theirs are in bad situations. I have multiple friends around the world who are on the front lines in healthcare, and it is really hard because they have high stress, they're not sleeping as much, they're probably not eating very healthy, and they're trying to help everybody else. And that's why more healthcare workers are going down, just because of those things. But if we stop listening to the part that is coming at us about the war and the fight and the attack that we're under, you know, this is how we think of things. I think is we're going to fight this virus, and we're going to stop this attack that's happening, and we're going to stop the spread. We're not going to stop the spread. And it's not a war. It's just an opportunistic little virus that showed up and nobody's immune to it. That's really all it is. So we don't really think about the cold viruses that go around in the winter time, but often it's a new one that we've not had, and then we get sick and then we get better. So that's the position that we want to be in with this virus too. Now, it might be more contagious, and it might be more, we don't really have enough good statistics yet, because probably lots more people have gotten infected than are being able to be counted. So our number at the bottom is going to get a lot bigger. It may be millions of people that have been sick, but only this many people that have died. So as that number gets bigger, we'll see that the ratio of people dying is less and less in the percentage. And that's really helpful, because it sounds really bad right now. And I'm not saying it's not bad, especially for people with immune systems that are suppressed already because of a disease they have or a medicine they take, or they have cardiovascular disease or lung disease or some other things. They're more prone. Even hypertension and diabetes make you more prone to get sick with this virus. So all the more reason to really focus on not just, I'm going to fight this virus, but how am I going to support my immune system so it can fight for me, right? We're not under attack in a disabling way. We're not just laying here waiting for this virus. There's so many things we can do. So what you can do is to be already in that core 4+1. You're doing your good sleep. You're doing your drinking water. You're staying off the news as much as you can. You know, you're getting exercise and fresh air and vitamin D as much as possible. And you've got enough fruits and vegetables going into your system. When I really started learning about nutrition, I realized that our government, and yours too, recommends that people eat so many more fruits and vegetables than even I was getting, and I thought I was doing a good job. And so about 15 years ago, I heard about Juice Plus, and I was the skeptical doctor, and I was also very busy, and I didn't have time to listen to this mom try and tell me about another supplement that was going to be good for me. So I just asked her to leave some information, and you know what she left? She left a packet this size full of scientific studies that had already been done on Juice Plus. It's been around for many, many years now. And the science is unrivaled, because it needs to be science that's done by someone other than the company. Ideally, like this particular product has been studied in institutions around the world by third parties who are allowed to publish whatever they get from their study. Juice Plus has nothing to do with what's published. So it's excellent research. And when I started to see that, I thought, what is this anyway? And I picked up the bottle that had been left for me, and I turned it around, and all I saw was fruits and vegetables on it. It wasn't a vitamin at all. It was actually the juicing that I'd tried to do, you know, that ended up being like twice a year to cleanse. all packed up for me in a little capsule. So that's what Juice Plus is ripe fruits and vegetables that are picked at the peak of their nutrition value when they're most ripe, and then either flash frozen to trap the nutrients in, or Vitamixed, I always say, like blended within a couple of days of being picked and dehydrated in a cold process so those nutrients are trapped. And I always thought that sounds like a really good idea, but it's because the science proves what it does to the body that it is worth anything at all. So in this case, what we're talking about, and why I even mentioned Juice Plus here, is because in this situation, we cannot get enough fresh, raw, or lightly steamed fruits and vegetables that ideally are local so they don't travel very far, right? And we really need them badly. So Juice Plus is sort of that perfect addition to the diet where you can flood even more fruits and vegetables into yourself, capsules or gummies for people who don't want to swallow capsules, and lots of my children who want to eat the gummies because they're yummy. And all they are is fruits and vegetables. It's the best thing ever. I used to put it on the counter when my daughter was growing up, and the gummies, and she'd have friends come over and they would want to treat. And so I just plopped the bags of fruits and vegetables and berries up there, and they would just munch on them, not knowing that they weren't a sugary treat because they tasted so good. So we want to do things like this where we can add more fruits and vegetables to clean up our diet if we need to, and the other core four, right? And the other thing, what's not in fruits and vegetables that's very important, is vitamin D. And you guys get a lot more about this up there, I hope, because the sun has gone a lot farther away from you. But vitamin D is vitally important to your immune system. You are just, hopefully coming towards the end of winter here, but the sun is not back and it's not very strong even if you do get some sun. So make sure you take a vitamin D supplement now if you don't already, and take that daily. So that's kind of the prevention. And if you do get sick, how to stay better part of your physical system, right? And then we have to talk about our brain and our mental health, because what I've noticed here, you guys may have already been sheltered in place, as we call it, or shut down, or not supposed to travel anywhere. And once this goes on, I was just counting today, it's almost 3 weeks in my house. And they call this thing social distancing, but it really isn't social distancing. It's physical distancing. We're trying to stay 6 feet away from people. We're trying not to touch things or touch our face, masks, gloves, all of this. But really, social is where your mental health, if you don't have that social connection, your mental health, I've noticed for myself, has just gone down. And then I want to sit in front of the TV because I don't feel like doing anything. And then it's worse because all that's on is all these terrible numbers. So plan ahead is what I'm saying. Like things like this, where you can see other people on the screen and you can feel like you're right there with someone, is so invaluable. I have a couple of different groups of girlfriends, and we've already done one virtual happy hour together, catching up with each other. And the other was a book club that we were really missing, our book club, and we just wanted to have that. So we had it online, and it's close to the real thing, but it's good enough because you feel like people are there for you, people are listening, and this is so important for our mental health. But stress, that chronic, out of our control stress that I was talking about being one of the worst things for your health, that's going to be there because there's nothing we can do about this pandemic until it's gliding down finally. And we're going to have a lot of ups and downs, I think, over the next year. And so what we want to do is be able to neutralize that stress. This is so important for your mental health. So I have a couple of good tips for you, and I know you guys have lots of them yourself, but one of the things that neutralizes the stress hormones, you can feel them when your heart starts beating fast. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night? I did this the other night. My heart was just pounding, and I thought, what was I just dreaming about? Was I like running? But it didn't stop. It just kept going. And I just started deep breathing. And there's a technique I call it square breathing. Some people call it box breathing, but you breathe in and hold it, and out and hold it, all for the same count. And so you might, when your heart's beating fast and you're short of breath and that stress level is high, you might only be able to count to 3 on each of those. But then as you go, you'll be able to count a little bit more each time. I do this when I have trouble falling asleep because I'm stressing about something. And I tell the children, no kidding, I did this at one time that I just couldn't fall asleep, and I got to 12. And all the kids go, 12 sounds like a lot, but I totally got to 12. And guess what? Then it was the next morning. So it can really decrease your stress level. And there are 2 apps that I love. One is called Headspace. You may know Headspace. It has a free amount that you can do, and you can upgrade if you want to, but it's just taking a few minutes of time every day to do some sitting still and quiet breathing. And I think sometimes an app really helps us do that. There's one that's even great for kids called I Am Present. So look up both of those, Headspace and I Am Present. I Am Present has activities that go all the way down to preschool that the children can do, because they feel our stress, and we try not to share that in front of them. And we try to do our deep breathing, meditation, yoga, all these things are really decrease the stress hormones, but it rubs off on our children a lot of times. And that's when they misbehave. And that's when they start driving us crazy. So Michelle mentioned before, Love and Logic. I have been a fan since my child was 7 and she's 23. And she is beside herself by how much she appreciates me raising her like this at 23, but she wasn't really at 7 at all when I shifted gears. It's something that I would highly recommend you look at if you feel like your children are not listening, driving you crazy. You have great days, you have bad days, you are pulling your hair out at times. This will sort of save your life. And right now we need that, because we all need to be together closely as families, and we need to be having a lot of fun with our kids, because fun and creativity neutralize their stress hormones just like they do ours. So take a look at those things. And those are my things for physical staying well and mental staying well. Michelle, I wonder if people have some questions. I'm sure I forgot things out of my original, but let's see what people say.
Okay, Dr. Miles, I've got a few questions for you.
Okay.
One question is, how does an omega or plant fat support like brain health and mental well-being right now?
You know what? That's a good point. Omegas, we are really fat heads. So our brains are mostly fat. And that's why children's brains grow so fast. Their heads are the thing that grows the fastest. And it turns out omega-3s are wrapped around every single nerve we have in our brain. So they're like, if you think about an electrical wire that you would strip off the colored plastic on the outside of it, that's what every nerve is like. The nerve's the wire, and the omega-3 is like the wrapping around the wire. So when we have plenty of omega-3s in our diet and in our brain, the neurons are most healthy, and they're also you have less chance of bad behaviors, let's just say, in your kids. So they're really, really helpful in attention deficit and difficult behaviors. So think about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, and I do love the Juice Plus Omega, because the kids can eat it. It tastes good, right? So they just chew up the little capsules, spit out the casing if they
I
can't
love
swallow.
my Omega blend. And I love that it's plant-based, because the fish that most omega-3 capsules are extracted from are not very sustainable. So we're overfishing, and we're fishing with toxins in the fish that can be concentrated in some of those capsules. So I love that it's plant-based.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, next question. What kind of like serving number or diet do you recommend kids in your practice? Like what are they supposed to be eating?
Are you talking about fruits and vegetables, do you think? Yeah, the fruits and vegetables, well, it depends on age. Up until about 2 years old, most children can get enough nutrition from their moms as they breastfeed, ideally for at least a year. And that's with the mom having a healthy diet, of course, because the baby's going to pull away all your nutrition. That's why we used to lose teeth, one for every child, because the baby pulls out the calcium, as an example. And so up until about 2, with their little picking at, grapes and, tomatoes and different things that they pick at, they do pretty good, because up to about 3, they feel there's better connection, I think, between the brain and the appetite. And so you'll see children that are small actually just go, no, I don't want any more, or I want green for 3 days, and then I don't want green ever again. I want to eat red. And so they end up doing okay up until about 2 or 3 years old. But after that, they really, just like us adults, can't get enough in their diet of the variety of different colors that we need, because all those colors have different nutrient groups in them. And so it's best to have a supplement, and most doctors will say just take a vitamin, but we know from studies that vitamins are not a substitute for fruits and vegetables. In fact, it can be worse than average with more cases of certain kinds of cancer and things like this. So it is much better to take concentrated plant food when you can't eat enough plants. So the servings are different in different countries, and I don't have Canada's food guide in front of me, but here in the United States, for children that are in the two to say 8 years old category, I usually say 5 to 7 servings a day. And a serving is usually about the size of your fist if we're talking about raw. So a small apple, a cup of green beans if they're lightly steamed or raw. And you can find serving sizes for all fruits and vegetables. Just look it up online. So that's about that. And then 7 to 9 for those kids that are before teenage years, but 12 and up is adult size. And adults, women are supposed to get 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, and men are supposed to get 11 to 13. And pregnant women and nursing women are supposed to have as many as men, because they have that extra demand for nutrition and calories. So it's a lot more. And I always thought I did so well. I mean, even today I'm thinking back and I'm like, I didn't have enough fruit. And we had a point where we had no good produce on the shelves. There were empty shelves. And it was when I first got scared. And this was about 2.5 weeks ago. And I thought, no fruits. Because it's something that I buy often. And so you really want to have a plan and frozen, if it's fresh, frozen, organic, that's the next best thing to fresh. So that would be the place to go if your produce shelves start getting a little empty. It'll be temporary. We're fine now. And it was only a few days that it was like that, but it was a little scary. So sorry, I'm going on. Ask me another question.
That's great. Okay, next question. What vitamin D supplement do you recommend?
Well, there's lots of, I hate to say a brand because I haven't researched enough. I appreciate very much the brands that do their own quality control, and they have no traces of artificial ingredients at all, that they're just pure. The one I happen to use is the Country Life brand, which you can get everywhere online and in health food stores, but there are plenty of good brands out there. I love the Nordic Naturals has one, I think, that is a little bit of a mixture, but there are lots of good ones. I'm sorry, that's my brand. So.
No worries. And I've heard lots of people recommend a vitamin D drop versus a capsule or a pill. Is that something you also?
Well, yes. Now, that's a good point, because vitamin D is fat soluble, and there are only 4 vitamins that are fat soluble, which means that you need to take it in an oil. So either drops or a capsule that has got oil inside of it is the best. I'm not really sure about those tablets because it's not oily, and that's not going to be absorbed right with our bodies. So that's a good point.
Okay, great. One other question, and this one is in relation to the COVID-19 virus. Is it true that children can carry the virus without knowing it, so that grandparents being told to stay away from their grandkids truly are at risk?
Yeah, it's a really difficult time right now, but some of the facts we do know are about how much less affected children are by this virus. So they catch it, and certainly we've heard of some deaths in children, but it is so minimal that it's astonishing to me as a pediatrician. And I think the reason why is that children catch lots of cold viruses. That's how they end up getting immune. So the younger you're exposed, you catch it because you've never had it, and then you start getting immune. But there are many cold viruses. 4 to 6, actually, the most common cold viruses are coronaviruses. So as children, they've only been around a few years, their immunity to those is still pretty high. And maybe that's the reason that they don't show such strong symptoms of this particular coronavirus. So, but the question is about asymptomatic shedding, they call it. So when you're passing the virus, but you don't feel sick. And that happens with everybody, no matter what age. So just isolating the kids from the grandparents, we just don't know. I don't know that the kids would do any stronger asymptomatic shedding, but what they will do is be all over you. you know, they're in your face and they want to kiss you and they want to climb on you. And that's the trouble, is the distance, the physical distance. So I think that especially if you have anybody over 60, or no matter what age, anybody who's got any of those illnesses, immunosuppressive drugs, immunosuppression as an illness, you really need to probably keep the kids away even before they have symptoms. The country of Sweden, if you guys look this up online, has had a really interesting response to this virus. They looked at the science and they saw that it was usually the older people and people with certain conditions that got the most sick and needed ICUs and ventilators. And so they did strict isolation of those people, and they didn't even close their schools. So I don't know what's going to happen in the end with the number of cases. And remember, we can't just talk about number of cases because every country has a different population. It really should be the percentage of the population that got sick that they should report. It makes me a little crazy because you see, we're over, I don't know, we're going to be over 200,000 if we aren't already in cases, but we've got 300 million people. So we have to look at it that way. But Sweden has fared very well. Like, there are minimal numbers of people on ventilators in Sweden. So I think if we can practice that, not to say the kids can go to school and spread stuff around, because then they're the vectors. They're the people like the mosquitoes that take the disease to the other people. So I think that whatever your country is recommending you do, but especially the older folks and the folks with those conditions.
Yeah, it's just such a hard time for everyone to be away from their family.
I know, and that's why I'm saying don't forget about being social, because it's so important for our mental health. It really is.
Absolutely. I just see one more question here. Why do you recommend the berries? Some people think fruits and greens are enough. So for those of you who don't know, this is a Juice Plus question. Juice Plus has fruits, vegetable, and berry blend, as well as an omega blend. And when you're taking the premium capsule line, you would take all 4. So this person is asking, why would you recommend the berries?
Right. Well, I sort of alluded to it before. It's because every different color has a different set of plant nutrients in it. So phytonutrients, they call them. So the deepest purple color would be different from the blue in the blueberry even. And those colors in the berry kingdom are not the same as the colors in the fruit kingdom or the vegetable kingdom. So that's why, and there's a really excellent study that was done on Juice Plus looking at sort of vascular, the veins and the arteries being spastic, their spasticity and how they contract, because it's associated with heart attacks and blood pressure problems. And they found that it was a very significant improvement over the placebo to just take red and green. But when they added the berries, it was twice as good, that improvement. So that would just be one example of how there is definitely an effect of the berry nutrients in those different colors, in addition to the fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, I love that study. It was the one that won me over as a skeptic, I'm going to tell you. Another question, how many capsules or chewables, like she's just saying, is there a place where it's too much? Because a lot of us are doubling up right now because it is helping us to support our immune system while we're stressed, while we're isolated and in close quarters. So, is there too much that you could take?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I still have this question today because I think that it's going to be almost impossible to answer, because we don't know where we're starting, right? If our baseline is low in many different groups of nutrients or a few that are key, then taking a regular amount of Juice Plus might not be able to fill that hole all the way up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it really matters where our baseline is, how fresh the fruits and vegetables we can get are, in addition to our Juice Plus in our diet, and how critical the ones that are low are, which we're never going to be able to test for. The phytonutrients in fruits and vegetables and berries are likely in the 25,000 range. So we're not ever going to have a test for all of those. There are some good tests that kind of give you your general nutrient profile, but they pick out single ones. And if you've got to do that 25,000 times, it's not going to happen. So on the other side of the coin is that because doubling Juice Plus or tripling Juice Plus has not been studied, then you have to swim at your own risk a little bit. The company would never say, oh, it's fine. And I wouldn't as a scientific person, because I don't know. And I think that you know, because you know how much or little fruits and vegetables that are fresh and ripe you're eating. So it's just go based on that. And I never said double, but I do it. So, I do it sometimes because I know I can feel the cold coming on and it will take it away in a couple of days if I double up. So for me, I must be missing some things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all for tonight. I'm kind of just scrolling through. Oh, we do have one. So hang on one sec. It's a bit of a longer one. Da-da-da-da. Okay, so she just read an article that was saying that it was a Juice Plus debunked article, which, they're all over the place. So my apologies, but I wanted to see, the author said that you are better off taking vitamins because they are cheaper and have the same amount of vitamin A, C, and E as taking all 3 Juice Plus blends. So how would you respond to chemical isolated versions versus what you're getting in whole food?
Yes, and I first want to respond to just the debunking of Juice Plus articles. There is really, to my knowledge, 1 or 2 of those types of things out there. It's just that people will click on that and it makes it rise to the top like it's a bigger thing. And then when you really go into the debunking part of it, it doesn't make a lot of sense with the mindset that I just shared with you. So if we're looking at supporting our immune systems and we know that for the best health, we need to eat lots more fruits and vegetables than we can, then it makes sense to get more whole fruits and vegetables into you in some way that are ripe, picked off the vine when they're the most nutritious. So when we shift over to my old mindset, which is how I was trained in medical school, and anyone who did nutrition in college or anything like that, is very isolationist. So, and that's for good reason, because we study one nutrient at a time in order to figure out, take all the other possibilities of what might have changed something out and just look at this one thing. So if we want to know what vitamin C does, we only put vitamin C and it's the only one change so that we can see how the scientific results come out. So all the studies on nutrients are going to be one at a time like that. But that's not how it works in the body. We weren't raised on this planet with pills of vitamin C and this and that and the other all by themselves. We came up and we survived as a human species because we ate plants, and we sometimes got good kills and we were able to cook the meat and fish for the fish, and right, but a bulk of our diets everywhere on the planet has been plants. And so our systems are much attuned to having lots of plants and getting little tiny bits of micrograms of phytonutrients into us, all together in this synergy that they work with inside the body is nothing short of a miracle, really, when you start studying it. So when I see a debunking that goes down that line, I see it makes sense, because if they're only focusing on these 30 nutrients, which typical multivitamins have in them, they're missing thousands that are helping the body. And so it's just that we can't do scientific studies finding out what vitamin C does without just doing vitamin C. So that's the beauty of the Juice Plus scientific research, is they are looking at capsulefuls of concentrated plant powders and what that does compared to a capsule full of placebo powder. So they're comparing those two things together. So that research really has gotten to the point that there's 40, I think now, Michelle, 40 research studies on Juice Plus. I mean, there no one, A, is going to catch up with that, and B, I think can argue with that, because those plant powders in synergy are being studied together. And if you're a science geek like Michelle and I are, you can see all of these studies online, and you can spend hours reading all, because they're directly online. So get with the person who invited you if you haven't seen those.
I love you. Thank you so much, Dr. Miles. Thank you for coming and sharing your heart with us from a pediatrician, a doctor's perspective, and also a mom and a person who's going through all of this with all of us. I'm just so grateful. And your wisdom I'm just getting tons of comments in our Facebook group and in the chat as well. People are just so grateful, and we're so thankful that you came and shared your heart with us tonight.
Oh, I was so happy to be invited. I miss being up there. I would be up there next week, 2 weeks, week and a half. Oh, I'm going to miss you guys so much. It's one of my favorite places on the planet. So, Alberta.
Too. We are. And for those of you guys who are watching in our Synergy Facebook group, next week, our Thursday connection call is going to be with Selena Gray. She is a retired chartered accountant, and she has taken the time to specialize into wealth consciousness and feeling safe with your money. And I know this is such a topic on everybody's mind, and Dr. Miles is in our group now, so she'll probably tune in next Thursday as well. And she's just going to take us through like finding safety with where we're at right now with our wealth consciousness, with all that's going on in the world. Selena has been on the news, she's been on TV, she's been in several different articles, and we are so blessed to have her coming next Thursday at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, same group, same place. So we hope that you guys join us then. Thanks, Dr. Miles.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.